yo holding gate on I'm 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 yo holding gate on Engage on, I'm yo holding gate 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 on. Engage on, I'm yo holding gate 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 on. Engage on, I'm yo holding gate 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 on. Engage on, I'm yo holding gate 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 on. Engage on, I'm yo holding gate 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 on. Nam yo ho renge kyo, nam yo ho renge kyo, nam yo ho renge kyo. Wagwan, my people, we're live in the place. So, I hope you've all been experiencing a little bit of chanting in your week, starting to feel some of that power. Wagwan, Hannah. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to be doing chapter 3. Yeah, one of my favorite concepts in Buddhism called Esho Funi, and this is the concept that the self and the environment are always reflecting each other. Oh, Ryan's just joined, so this is going to get juicy. Again, I expect to go no longer than an hour. It might be a bit shorter, might be a bit longer. Thank you for being here on a Friday. Like I said, going out for my mother's birthday tomorrow, and then Sunday we're doing the Adam and the Adam conversation. Wagwan Ryan, with allegedly Dave. So going down a bit of a Christian path on Sunday. So Ryan, we're going to be studying the self and the environment today. Let me just let you unmute quickly. And I was explaining, Ryan, how it's one of my favorite concepts. The self is a reflection of the environment. And when you look in the mirror, if you want to be happy, you don't ask the reflection to change. You've got to smile first and then the reflection will change. And it's that kind of concept that when we change ourselves, the environment also changes. There you go, Ryan. I'll just ask you to unmute. So you can just quickly just say hello.
Hello.
There you go. I can hear you, brother.
Oh, good. It's on. Good. Hello. Hello, everyone.
So yeah, everyone else is on mute, by the way. But if anyone at any point wants to say something, please drop it in the chat, and then Ryan will or me will see it. And then at the end, if anyone wants to share anything with your voice, please just put your hand up. Okay, so as always, I'm going to share the screen on parts of this chapter. We're on page. The first page we're going to read from is page 68. If you've got your book, where it says "In Buddhism," however. So while I share the screen. Let me just find the part I want to share first of all. Cool. So I'm just going to read the first part of the chapter. It's not on the screen, but just two beautiful quotes. Can you all see the screen? You see that clear? Okay, amazing. So the self in the environment. If you wish to change society, change yourself first. Beautiful. This is why I do what I'm doing. This is why we must remember the power of one single individual, because that's what Babylon don't want us to remember. The power of one individual single person that can change everything for the family, for your street, for your community, for your town, for your nation, and then the world. And that was from someone called Thomas Carlyle, I believe. And then the next quote: a great human revolution in just a single individual will help achieve a change in the destiny of all humankind. That's by Daisaku Ikeda, the third president of the Soka Gakkai International, no, the Soka Gakkai. So again, a great human revolution in just a single individual will help achieve a change in the destiny of all humankind. And all of us on this call right now are the trailblazers, are the pioneers. We are in the vanguard. We are the ones to stop the karma that has been repeating for cycles. We have the ability to transform ourselves so much that we can project a whole different future for our families. So if you want to turn to page 68, people, and I will start from there. So if you don't have it, it's on the screen. So in Buddhism, however, this inseparability of the person and his or her surrounding is an all-embracing vision of reality. As Nichiren wrote in a letter to a follower, the essence of the sutras preached before the Lotus Sutra is that all phenomena arises from the mind. To illustrate, they say that the mind is like the great earth, while the grasses and trees are like all phenomena. But it is not so with the Lotus Sutra. It teaches that the mind itself is the great earth and that the great earth itself is the grasses and trees. This does not mean that life is a dream. Rather, it suggests that there is no fundamental difference between mind and matter. This is very significant. The mind, yeah, and the physical matter, yeah, it feels like they're two separate things, but actually we need to understand deeply how inseparable we are. And this is this concept of the environment is the internal reflection. It can be quite triggering for people when they've had a hard life and they don't want to realize that their environment is a reflection of something internal, but we'll hopefully cover a little bits about this. If we were to apply these notions to the realm of human relations, certain insights would emerge. We would begin to realize that the lives of those in our immediate environment tend to mirror our own inner lives. Generally, if an individual finds other people unfriendly, it is often because he or she is provoking that reaction, one way or another. Similarly, if that person becomes friendlier, the people around that person will begin to react differently. An unusual kind of good-hearted person will tend to believe that others are the same. To a person possessed by lust for power, even the most selfless, benevolent actions of others will appear as cunning moves to gain power. When we cherish people with the same profound reverence as we would the Buddha, their Buddha nature functions to protect us. On the other hand, if we belittle or regard people with contempt, we will be disparaged in return, as though gazing into our own image reflected in a mirror. As much as we sometimes resist the idea, a smile and a few kind words can achieve near miracles by reducing hostilities in many situations. There are people who can walk into a room and immediately lighten things up and lift everyone's spirit. These are all illusionary illustrations of what Buddhism terms the principle of the oneness of life and its environment. Ryan, maybe I could get you to share some thoughts before I continue on your perspective of how we as individuals are microcosms and the environment is the macrocosm, and how it is reflecting what's happening to us on an internal.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely intro. So, one of the things about this is one of the things that's maybe a bit tough for a lot of people to handle with this is you're taking total responsibility. You're not allowing the outside world to dictate who you are and how you act. And as Indigo said, you know, some people have trouble with that because they don't want to think that they might be partly the source of the trouble. And it is hard. It really is, because if you're in a place where people are treating you poorly, you don't think, well, that's my fault. And it's not about blame. That's the thing to remember. This is about things, really fundamental things like cause and effect. Like in scientific terms, this is what you would call reciprocal causality. So if you treat people with respect, generally speaking, people will treat you with respect. Okay. If you conduct yourself in a positive, nurturing way, that other people will reflect that. And think of it like, okay, right. So think of it like this. It's another one of my geeky examples. In Doctor Who, he travels around in something called a TARDIS, which is much bigger on the inside. Okay. Think of it like that. Now, if you are messy, okay, if you are negative, think about what's going on the inside. And if someone walks into your personal TARDIS, they're going to see a mess. They're going to react, oh my God, this place is terrible. Okay, I don't want to be here. It's just like that. Right, can I just have a quick does that make sense, that metaphor? Because if it doesn't, please give me a show of hands. Like, give me a thumbs down if you don't get it. Or something.
Maybe chuck us another metaphor. I kind of get it.
I was
but
going to say, okay,
yeah.
Okay, so think of it like this. Okay, you're playing a video game. Okay, really, thank you, Tanisha. You're playing a video game. Okay, and your avatar, your sprite, whatever you want to call it, you're involved in the environment, but you basically your skills enable you to determine what bits of the environment you can go to, and you can change your avatar and change your inner life. You can enter new zones and new environments. Okay, think of it like this: you are able to influence the state of the game that you're in. You can make new moves and you change the nature of the game. Okay, does that make sense? Because because what we're talking about today is actually incredibly powerful. It is, and I use this term advisedly. It's like having a cheat code for life, because it's very easy to accept what life throws at you and reflect what's thrown at you. If you go, if something bad happens to you, it's easy to become a bad person. And again, good and bad are very subjective terms. But let's think of more like mentally healthy. Let's use that. Okay. If you go into an area that is of life that is not great, okay, you go through bad stuff happens to you. You can reflect that back, okay, or you can polish your mirror and shine your light back at instead, and not let the external darkness become the internal darkness. Okay, I mean, yeah. Okay, so here's this is someone told me once. Okay, anyone who's seen Rocky will get this. In the Rocky training montage, okay, he trains in rough environments. We'll exclude the one where he's on the beach. That's fair enough. But he trains in the mountains and the snow. Yeah, he trains in rough environments. And instead of letting the environment break him, he adapts to the environment. He, if you like, breaks the environment and becomes stronger because of it.
Wow.
Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? Because I know, yeah?
Yeah, beautiful.
Seen Rocky, okay? Here's an even more basic one, okay? And this is my favorite one, but that's because I'm a sci-fi geek. The end of the first Matrix movie, okay? Neo literally sees the code in the world. He sees the code that the world is made up of. Okay, and he is able to bend the world and control the glitches. His inner recognition changes outer laws, changes external environment, and that's very literal. But that's Buddhism. And remember, you've got, and again, I think I said this before, but the whole bit about you can't bend the spoon. You can bend your reflection in the spoon. You bend your perceptions. Okay. In the Matrix, Neo literally sees what the world is made up of, and instead of letting the environment, which is a prison, change him, he, with his inner reflection, is able to change the external point. Inigo, I've gone on way too long here. You need to interrupt me.
No. It's because you're helping to make this even bite-sized for me. So
does what I've said make sense so far? Yeah.
I'm seeing movements. Beautiful.
In The Lion King, Simba realizes his inner nature and says, "Remember who you are," which is one of my favorite lines in that whole film. Okay? I'm just saying, his inner nature affects the external world. And one of the, for me, definitely, this is one of the hardest things. There is so much power in this. It's so easy to relinquish responsibility and let, as you say, let Babylon rule, basically. Okay, because everything that is you are told, everything that is dictated to you, everything that is controlled about your external environment is done by people, and ultimately a person who is doing that to the world. So this applies sort of both ways, at both ends of the sort of moral spectrum. Okay, there's no big external force, there's no disembodied external force that means you have to have a rubbish life. It's people. And so you can use that to make the world a better place by making your world a better place. But it's really hard to take that on board because, as I said, it means total responsibility. Okay, people say they want to be superheroes and what have you, but when you actually get the power, it's like, oh, I've actually got to do something with this now.
Yeah,
Superman could sit at home and do nothing all day. Yeah, Batman could, but and I'm not saying that to be flippant, but they choose to use those powers. And it's the same thing here. And this is an even more fundamental power because it's not flashy. You can get flashy results sometimes, granted, but it's not flashy. It's fundamental to the core of who you are. If you get yourself to change, your external environment will change and reflect that. It won't always be in the exact way you expect, but it will make it better, if I can use that term. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Massive.
Please take over because I think I'm boring.
You can tell Ryan likes movies, right? It's a perfect way of explaining it, and it's important that we can make it digestible. So thank you, brother.
I can be more pretentious if you want.
No. All right, guys. So let's go to page 72 in the book, if you've got it with you. So we're going to start from midway down the page, and you can read it on the screen as well. Okay. So, no one exists in isolation. We are connected to parents who conceived and raised us, to teachers who have educated us, and to friends who have encouraged us. We are also linked to people we have never met who harvest and distribute our food, manufacture our clothing, write the books that shape our thinking. In fact, we are connected to everyone whose efforts help hold together the fabric of society. There is no one in the world who has no connection to us. The playwright John Guare dramatized this notion in 6 Degrees of Separation, in which a character theorizes that every person can be linked to every other person on the planet by tracing his or her relationships through no more than 6 other people. Our self encompasses all other people. Viewed from a deeper perspective, everyone is linked to everyone else by virtue of the fact that all participate in the same ultimate reality of life, the Buddha nature. Although the inner world of self and the external world of reality appear to be distinct, ultimately they are not two, but one. Not just closely interconnected or mutually dependent, but inseparable from one another. In Buddhism, we call this oneness the true aspect of all phenomena, the ultimate truth, or the Buddha nature. Nichiren also called it the mystic law, which he expressed as Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. The relationship between the self and the ultimate truth is termed mystic because it is beyond our intellectual comprehension. But that doesn't mean that we can't think about it, discuss it, and test its values in our lives. Furthermore, even though it is mystic, let's not lose sight of the fact that it frames a view of humanity and the universe that is increasingly confirmed by science. Freedom from the sufferings of birth and death. Read the following excerpt from one of Nichiren's most famous letters, titled On Attaining Buddhahood in This Lifetime, written during what would have been the Middle Ages in the West, 1255, and see if it doesn't strike you as somehow modern. By the way, this is my favorite piece of Buddhist literature on the planet. Yeah, I've got a clothing brand and I've got these words written on the back. So yeah, it's only a part of it. If you wish to free yourself from the sufferings of birth and death that you have endured since time without beginning, and to attain without fail unsurpassed enlightenment in this lifetime, you must perceive the mystic truth that is originally inherent in all living beings. This truth is Myoho Renge Kyo. Chanting Myoho Renge Kyo will therefore enable you to grasp the mystic truth innate in all life. The Lotus Sutra is the king of sutras, true and correct in both word and principle. Its words are the ultimate reality, and this reality is the mystic law. It is called the mystic law because it reveals the principle of the mutually inclusive relationship of a single moment of life and all phenomena. That is why this sutra is the wisdom of all Buddhas. Life at each moment encompasses the body and mind and the self and environment of all sentient beings in the 10 worlds, as well as all insentient beings in the 3,000 realms, including plants, sky, earth, and even the minutest particles of dust. Life at each moment permeates the entire realm of phenomena and is revealed in all phenomena. I'm going to read that one part again because I don't know how many people really deep it, and after years of reading it, it gets deeper and deeper, but just hear the frequency of my voice, man. Life at each moment encompasses the body and mind and the self and environment of all sentient beings in the 10 worlds. And the 10 worlds is the life states from Buddhahood to hell. They're not actually external places. as well as all insentient beings in the 3,000 realms, including plants, sky, earth, and even the minutest particles of dust. Life at each moment permeates the entire realm of phenomena and is revealed in all phenomena. So what it's saying is even a particle of dust, the entire universe, all of the cosmos is all contained in that particle of dust, which science has proven a long time ago now, Ryan, right? Like the idea that in the space between like a neutron or something, or whatever you call them, there's just infinity in between. It's like 99.99% infinity. And so it's like it's like the hologram is included in just the hand, kind of. That's what we're trying to say here. So life at each moment permeates the entire realm of phenomena and is revealed in all phenomena. To be awakened to this principle is itself the mutually inclusive relationship of life at each moment and all phenomena. Nevertheless, and this is the sexiest part, nevertheless, even though you chant and believe in Myoho Renge Kyo, if you think the law is outside yourself, you are embracing not the mystic law, but an inferior teaching. Therefore, when you chant, you must summon up deep faith that Myoho Renge Kyo is your life itself. Super, super, super significant here. That was life-changing for me when I first stumbled across these teachings, yeah? Nevertheless, and this is the same in any faith or religion, you don't have to be Buddhist. If you're praying to Yoshua, and if you believe Yoshua is outside of yourself, then you've just given all of your power away. You know, if you're believing or praying to Allah and not recognizing that you are of the same energies within you, you're giving your power away. It's to deeply understand that the entire cosmos is within you, and that all of the teachings of Shakyamuni, because there's 80,000 teachings, all of them is within you. Hell and heaven are not external locations, they're life states within us. And to deeply chant and to meditate and to reason on that point is life-changing. And then you start to take full responsibility for yourself, because you understand how much you're affecting your environment, as Ryan was saying. If I can get you now to turn to page 76, and the last chapter on that page, where it says, now let us return to the words of Nichiren. So, cool. So, now let us turn to the words of Nichiren. You must summon up deep faith that Myoho Renge Kyo is your life itself. Your life itself could be interpreted as the very stuff we are made of, the waves between the particles, the vibrations that characterize the particles, the energy in the interstices, something between them, the particles themselves, such as they are. Nichiren thus, in addition to giving us marvelous insight into what to think about while chanting, is advising us that this sound we are making when we chant, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, in truth is the rhythm of the universe. When we chant, we are vibrating to that universal tone, that underlying harmony that is a part of all things. It's beautiful. I see it when I chant. I truly feel like I'm plugging myself into the Wi-Fi box, and then I have access to that, to the ether. I allow the ether to step into my aura or my chakra system, however you want to see it. It very much feels like I'm connecting to the Most High through the sound vibration. And when you're in spiritual spaces, I'm sure you'll know, a lot of you, how powerful sound is, whether it's through Tibetan bowls, crystal bowls, chanting Om. It's a very, very deep and sacred ancient thing. As we have seen, Buddhism, like physics, teaches that everything is in a constant flux, but it has a very different aim in doing so. Rather than actively striving to clarify the nature of the physical world, which it does in passing, Buddhism seeks to illuminate the human condition. To Nichiren, freedom meant not an escape from the realm of changing phenomena, but the discovery of an absolute point of reliance within ourself. And that to me is profound. To me, that is true happiness, because there's going to be so much transformation and happiness, and we're going to go through hell and heaven and Buddhahood and everything in between. But true happiness is to find that absolute point of reliance within ourselves, which is the treasure tower, we would call it as Buddhists. This liberates us from the bonds of karma as a result of manifesting Buddha wisdom to perceive the true nature of all phenomena, including our relationship with them. Because individual and surroundings are fundamentally one, whatever state of life we manifest will simultaneously manifest in the environment. That is what Nichiren meant when he wrote, at another time, environment is like the shadow and life the body. If the body wavers, the environment does too. If the body shows respect, the environment respects it in return. A person whose basic life tendency is hatred and hostility will bring forth anguish and misery in his or her surroundings, while someone with the basic state of Buddhahood will enjoy protection and support from the world. When Nichiren stated that you should not think the law is outside of yourself, he meant not to seek the source and solutions to one's sufferings in the environment. To compare ourselves continually with others, whether we evaluate ourselves negatively or positively, or to think that other people should be responsible for our happiness, or that we cannot be happy until someone else changes, or that our bank balance must increase in order for us to feel self-worth. These are all examples of seeking the law outside of ourselves. Like the early American transcendental philosopher Emerson and Thoreau, Buddhist thinking has a strong core of self-reliance. Anything to share there, Ryan?
I think, well, it comes back to responsibility again, doesn't it? I mean, and what's so timeless about this wisdom is you can find it in so many other places. You know, I mean, just in psychology, there was a guy. This is where I'm going to get pretentious, but I always love this guy's name. His name is Rotter, and in the '60s, he wrote about something called an internal locus of control, about belief in one's own influence. You know, the positive correlation of your created well-being with your environmental well-being. In social sort of learning, there's a guy called Bandura who said there was a term, reciprocal determinism. You know, your person and your environment are in a loop that go together, and it's whether you're prepared to control that loop or not, really, essentially, whether you're going to control where that goes or not. So one reflects the other, and because we get caught up in a lot the other way around. In therapy, there's something called acceptance commitment therapy, where you literally change your internal narrative to change your behavior, to change your environment. Or our thoughts lead to our feelings, lead to our actions, lead to results. And bring it back to like other forms of spirituality. Give me a sec. It's Luke 17:21. The kingdom of heaven is within. Really straightforward.
Wow, beautiful.
Same thing. Okay. Your internal awakening equals your world being renewed or clean, polished. You can do whatever you want. But basically, like I said, the thing to remember though is, and you know, you touched on this is not an easy thing to do. But once you have done it, or once you start doing it, it does get easier. It is. It's just. I mean, it's. Well, it's a skill, really, isn't it? In many ways,
it is, and it's something you refine, you know. And it's just when you're aware of this, it's just you can't go back, you know, really to when you're aware of how. Like, for instance, if I am driving, yeah, and then someone shouts at me in the car, and I allow myself to get angry, and I start shouting back, and then I'm in a bad mood. I know for a fact then the interactions for the next hour are going to be from a lower perspective. Someone's going to start being angry for no reason. And I see it like clockwork every single time. Someone will send me the most disgusting message on Instagram in the DMs for no reason. And I'm just like, wow, I know that I've drew this out of my environment because I actually reacted. I unconsciously reacted to something externally, and I've allowed it to bring myself down. So that's why I found it very powerful to know that I have the ability to control this and to not react so explosively, and therefore not be a victim to negativity, you know, being drawn out of my environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like I said, you can let your environment dictate you. And I think Indigo, you just gave a really good example there. If someone gives us abuse, the next person we talk to, we're far more likely to snap at them. Okay. But like I said, you take on this responsibility and realize, okay, well, hang on, instead of doing that, you know, you understand that your inner world and your outer manifestation. It's so there's a really good exercise that I sometimes do, and I hugely encourage people to do, called mirror mapping. And all it is you have two columns, okay? Your inner world and your outer manifestation. And in it, you list like you can do as many as you want, but like 3 to 5 is a good start of parallels. So, like for example, you might write in one self-criticism, and the outer and so the outer manifestation is people criticizing me. So if someone tells you you're no good, you tell yourself you're no good.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So the idea is when you recognize those patterns, you can start to rebuild them. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sort of form of karmic alchemy. Okay, you can transform stuff because after all, there are literally Buddhists in the world who seek out problems so they can fix them and change their reflection. They take on those challenges, and so like I said, it's karmic alchemy. You take initially, you're going to take what the world throws at you, and you're going to change it into something positive. And we'll come on to that probably in another chapter, won't we? The whole poison to medicine thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is a form of that. It's just it's writ large that you basically, by working within and acknowledging what's going on inside yourself, you can change that to change your external environment. It's like, you know how they say some people are like the life and soul of the party. Yeah, because they go into a room and they give out these, if you want to call them good vibes, whatever, and people react to that. People want to be around those things. That's what this is, but just done on a more conscious and, if you like, spiritual level.
Wow.
But like I said, that if you try that mirror mapping exercise, you're going to be a wee bit surprised at how much you don't realize how much the outside world dictates how you are on the inside and what you give back. Someone gives you grief, you give yourself grief, and you give the next person you bump into grief.
Wow.
And it's a vicious circle. Interrupt the loop, realize what's going on.
Yes.
And do the positive.
Interrupt the ting. Yes.
It's the Buddhist version of turning a frown upside down, if you like.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you. And so Gina, just to answer your question, thank you for being here, by the way, sister. You asked about the 3,000 realms. It's a very profound concept that I won't go into in too much detail on this call. But what it means is it's a concept in Japanese Buddhism called Itao Doshin, which means there's 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. So in this exact moment, there's 3,000 different potentials. And the way that the Buddha calculated this was, it's literally a calculation. So you said as well, you asked about the 10 worlds. These 10 worlds are life states that are within us. Hell, hunger, animality. You'd have to help me, Ryan, for the fourth one. I always kind of hell, hunger, animality.
Oh God. Okay, right. So the 10 realms we're talking about now. 10 realms.
If you can find the 10 realms while I carry on, just explain.
Yeah, no. I've got them. So what have you said so far? Because I've got them in a pattern in my head. So
hell, hunger,
animality, anger, humanity, heaven, learning, realization. What is that for Buddhahood?
There we go. Yeah. So it's and in Abrahamic Christianity kind of religions, they cap you at the sixth life, which is heaven, which is you're going to one day get to heaven, and that's it. Where we recognize as Buddhists, heaven is a life state within me. Heaven could be when I've just met my girlfriend and I've been waiting 4 years for her and we have the most amazing night and I'm in a state of heaven. But that life state could change when tomorrow I get a phone call and my mum's just been knocked over and killed. I'm no longer in heaven. It's gone straight away. Yeah. And this is the realities of life. It is always consistently transforming and changing. It's not a static. And also the one thing that is just guaranteed in this cosmos is change. Nothing is still. So the idea for us as Buddhists that you're just always in heaven for having a good life, to me is actually is a way of weaponizing teachings to make you a slave in this world, if in my respect. So the Ichinen Sanzen is the idea that you times the 10 life states, I believe, by the 10 factors. 10 factors are something that I won't even go into now. Then times past, present, and future. So the 3 existences of past, present, and future. And it basically means at any point, it's like a Rubik's Cube, that potential, because I could meet Ryan and he could be in a state of heaven, but I'm in a state of anger, and this is now 2 different life states and potentials in this one moment that we connect. And imagine that now with everyone at all moments. And the 10. So this is just to give you a bit of an idea of what we meant by the 3,000 realms in a single moment of life.
And every single point you are in is connected to every other single potential point you could be in.
Yes, that's a cleaner way of sharing it. And Gina, if you ever want, I'll share actual literature on that. I can share other stuff for you to go into that more in detail. But okay, guys, page 79. We're going to start at the last chapter, which says we really are the archetypes of our existence. What's the time here? Okay, cool. We've got about 20 more minutes, people. So We really are the archetypes of our existence, and our surroundings do reflect precisely what we have built. People don't want to admit that, man, sometimes, but it's damn true. For instance, I'll give you a quick example. Yeah, you know, someone could be like, "Oh, my friend died in a car crash. It's not fair. Why did it happen to him?" On a fundamental, deep level, the person made the choice to get into the car. On that deep, deep level of cause and effect and taking full responsibility. You know, getting in the car is not as safe as walking, potentially. You know, so it's taking full responsibility. And of course, that could go deep, like, why are you born into the most awful and disgusting circumstances? But we'll leave that for the book to explain. So we really are the archetypes of our existence, and our surroundings do reflect precisely what we have built. Buddhism entails a radical sense of responsibility and empowers the individual to effect change. If we are unhappy in our circumstances, we have the ability to do something about them. The idea of taking responsibility for our own lives has become a voguish one in American society, probably because of so many of us, especially those in public life, have shirked the notion for so long. But the kind of responsibility we're talking about here is, well, rather extreme. The Buddhist view of life asks us to accept 100% responsibility for our lives. It might be difficult to imagine being held responsible for something like having a terrible boss, but didn't you choose your job, and haven't you chosen to stay at the company throughout this period? You didn't make your boss a bad one. It's not your fault that the boss is bad. You are responsible, however, for being and staying there. Also, most bosses, no matter how demanding and arrogant, usually have a stable of favorites, employees who do their bidding and get along with them fairly smoothly. Why aren't you one of these people? Have you chosen not to be out of high-mindedness or some other motive? Whatever the reason it was, your choice. In fact, the more closely we examine any situation in life using the Buddhist eye for clarity and wisdom, the more we realize that we are indeed responsible for all our choices and thus for our experience with our environment, for better or worse. We're going to move to page 83, where it says, there is only the iron law. Actually, wait. Maybe that's not the page, 1 second. Boom. Actually, we're going to carry on. Okay, cool. Page 86, actually, guys. Practice for self and others. It's the last few pages of this chapter. So, since our lives are inseparable from the life of the universe, and since we as individuals are connected to everything else on earth, we must also take responsibility for the happiness of our loved ones and friends. As the saying goes, if your neighbor's house is burning, can you really be safe? This realization gives rise to what Buddhism calls the way of the Bodhisattva. A Bodhisattva is one who strives for enlightenment while at the same time working to help others attain the same goal. In practical terms, efforts made for the sake of others actually do more to help change one's own karma than efforts made purely to transform oneself. Practice for others may include sharing one experience, providing moral and emotional support, and instilling hope, and ultimately helping others to practice Buddhism. Yes, Buddhism is highly individualistic, based primarily on one's solitary efforts in chanting, but if one's efforts are directed only towards self-improvement, any truth obtained will be only partial. Here then is a paradox in Buddhism. While we say that the primary practice for growth is the individual chanting to the Gohonzon, there is no true revolution of the self without extending ourselves towards others. Robert Thurman, author and professor of religion at Columbia University, once conducted an entire workshop based on a simple precept recorded by Shantideva, an 8th century Indian monk. All the happiness in the world comes from thinking of others. All the suffering in the world comes from thinking of only oneself. By concerning yourself with the problems of others, your own problems become diminished, both in perspective, because you realize that perhaps other people have more serious obstacles than yours, and in reality, because you keep focusing on your own difficulties, they lose their mastery over you. It is said that a drop of ink in a cup of water will turn the water blue. This same drop in the water will vanish completely. This same drop in the ocean will vanish completely. Likewise, by immersing ourselves in the life struggles of other people, as we develop our natural capacity for compassion, what Buddhism calls our Bodhisattva nature, we gain the wisdom and life force to overcome our own problems. Life is a moment-to-moment battle between one's Buddha nature and the workings of delusion. When we chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and reach out to others, we can tap our Buddha nature and overcome our deluded nature. This principle can be applied to society also. When the humanistic ideals of Buddhism spread, society will become more humane in every aspect. According to the principles of the oneness of life and its environment, the environment reflects both the positive and the negative. Therefore, from the problems of war to the ongoing threats to the global ecosystem, real lasting change depends on bringing forth the enlightened nature of uncountable individuals. Establishing within our lives and within society the humane philosophy that Buddhism puts forth is an effective way to bring peace and harmony to our world. And that last sentence is why we do what we do, man. Therefore, from the problems of war to the ongoing threats to the global ecosystem, real lasting change depends on bringing forth the enlightened nature of uncountable individuals, establishing within our lives and within society the humane philosophy that Buddhism puts forth in an effective way to bring peace and harmony to our world. And as Buddhists, that is the only answer for us on how the world changes. It is called human revolution. There's been so many different kinds of revolutions before, political revolutions, scientific revolutions, cultural revolutions. None of them's worked. Yeah, we're going into the abyss. The human revolution, each individual recognizing that they are Jah, Muhammad, Sai Baba, Shiva, Shakti, Yoshiwa, Sri Swami, the Buddha, Shakyamuni, Siddhartha, Gautama. The entire cosmos is within us. Each individual person stepping into that realization, and each of us going out and making a change in society, and then your child is like takes on the change, and then your friend, it's like a butterfly effect. To us as Buddhists, that's the only way that the world would make a transformation. And that means that we have to even have the conversation with the evil people. We can't avoid this. We have to always be having dialogues and trying to draw out the Buddha nature in each person. Because when we actually know that we are co-creating this universe, and that we literally, with our efforts and our thoughts, can transform the environment in front of us, then we have to deeply understand the responsibility, as Ryan was saying earlier, that we actually have as bodhisattvas that are co-creating this future, not to ever believe the lies that we're just nothing, just organisms that are just worthless, because actually one individual can change the world. Think about just one person that you love in history, whether it's, for me, it's like, you can see him right there, Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey, 9 million followers in 1930. There wasn't even telephone lines like properly. I don't even think there was just about telephone lines. Yeah, 9 million people. He literally got a ship to take people back to Africa. Like, when you think about that was one individual man, yeah, who knows what you could do or your son could do or what we're doing right now. And so that is how we're going to transform the world and transform families and estates and the darkness that we see in all over the place. It's like for me, my dream is like in these gangs all in South London, in Brixton and stuff. If one individual, one of them brothers listen, and a lot of them do listen to me now because they see themselves in me. If one of them listen to me and they start going to the local gangster barbecue and they start talking about avocados and like, I don't want to eat as much meat and they start whatever it is, yeah, and they start talking about tantra and I don't want to like have sex with that girl anymore like that. And that's just like that butterfly effect can start to transform and change. We have to understand that we all have that power in all of the industries that we're in. We have incarnated and chosen these industries that we're in because it is our mission to transform it, because we're the ones who can do it. I can't change the sci-fi industry the same way that Ryan might be able to. Do you know what I mean? Because it's, do you know what I mean? And Ryan might not be able to affect the catwalk industry the way I was able to. And Clea I won't be able to do what Clea's doing as a new artist and stuff. I'm not a vegan personally, Gina, no. I'm not. And it's something that I've battled with as I've been a Buddhist for 10 years, because one of the last prayers is the prayer for the happiness of all living beings. One thing I definitely know for sure is I don't like factory farming. One thing I know for sure is I don't like the way that meat is currently being handled on the planet. Do I believe that eating meat is an acceptable thing to do? In my life, yeah. If it's but like in a tribal sense, and I'm definitely not eating it in a tribal sense. So I'm on that process of being I want to be on it. I'm addicted to their poisons, and I'm doing my best. Ryan, anything to say before we go?
No, I mean, I think you put it really well. I think, like I said, this is work. I think if you could see the effect, literally see the effect other people had on you, Like if you could see someone transferring their negativity onto you, and you knew that you could see you transferring your negativity onto someone else. You know, someone gives you grief, you give someone else grief in return. If you could see that, you would never ever do it, would you? You would say, no, I'm not having this. I'm not passing this on. Be like passing on a virus, be like deliberately giving someone an illness, and you would never ever do it. And so really, part of this is making friends with yourself as well. Okay, caring about yourself enough to realize that your reflection of your goodness, okay, that's something that you can control, that you can share with others. So like you were saying about bodhisattvas, Indigo, the key thing is, like I said, it's always active. There's a brilliant saying in Taoism, when there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. If you care about yourself in the right way, if you are friends with yourself, if you give your soul a hug, kind of a thing, yeah, what someone else does to you isn't going to affect. In fact, if anything, you will see the other person's negativity, and not only will you not want to pass it on, you will want to help them correct their path. You will shine your light on their darkness, if you like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah, because I don't know a bit. Yeah. So like I said, part of this is working on yourself, and then you almost literally will be able to see other people's negativity bouncing off of you, if you like. You know, you will manifest that superpower, however you want to recognize it. You'll see the source code, because you'll see that this other person has come from another feedback loop of someone has been negative to them, and they are passing it on, and they're not necessarily choosing to do that. Some people do. Some people are, unpleasant in times, and they don't have that self-control. But that's not an excuse. And here's the thing, the big thing. It's never an excuse. If you embrace this, it's never an excuse. Yeah. But by the same token, because I do this all the time, and I'm really good to get with this, you're going to slip up as well. There will be times when someone's nasty to you, and you'll forget, and you'll be nice to someone else. The key thing is not to wallow in the guilt, but instead to make amends and recognize, okay, I slipped up there. Rather than feeling crappy about it, use it. Use that karmic alchemy. Turn it into fuel to do good for yourself and for others. Because, like I said, Buddhism is the practice of no excuses, which is why it's so flipping tough. Yeah. Sorry, I waffled again there. Please carry on.
No, bro. Trust me, you're never waffling to me. I'm honored, bro, to have you by my side, and that's why people are drawn more to different forms of Buddhism. Yeah, let's be honest, and that's because the system prefer you to focus on other forms of Buddhism where you're passive on the top of the mountain with a bald head, doing nothing as the system comes and literally is ready to destroy us. This faith, Nichiren Daishonin, please research the life of Nichiren Daishonin. And if any of send me a message, I can send you on my YouTube channel. There's a movie called the Great Mongol Invasion that me and Ryan love. We've watched it together. It's a 2-hour video on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen it. It's an old school movie, but it's no doubt the only thing that's like a close example of what it was like to be Nichiren. He was a bad man. Yeah, he rode around with a person with a samurai sword at all times. Yeah, I don't know where this passive, even within our own sect of Buddhism, somehow people can have become very just like, let's all just chant and pray for everything. The pandemic, let's just chant and pray that it all just disappears and like everyone's going to be healthy again. And they don't realize that we were born in very dense times. We were born in what Buddhism calls the latter day of the law. It's a time where we have to deeply transform ourselves and then fight to reveal our deepest potential and then make a change in society. I know people on this call, people are dealing with troubled children. People are having big dreams. People are dealing with trauma. Like, you have to, like, this isn't an easy life. Like, about the idea of turning poison to medicine, which we'll speak about in another chapter. All of this life stuff, yeah, we can actually turn it all into medicine. Like, all of my past coming from the streets, that's all poison that I can turn into medicine. So I'm now relatable from people from the streets, for instance, as an example. This practice, to me, is so strict, actually, that... That's why I gave my life to it. That's why I made a vow, because that's the only thing that makes sense to me, that I am fully responsible, cause and effect. And even stuff that we could be dealing with in our life now, it could be from causes from a past life. Seriously, we don't know what we've done in past lives, But there could be tendencies where you could just be lazy, for instance. You don't realize, and that could be something that's happened in a past life. You brought in laziness into this life. And so to have a practice that makes you, first of all, face the mirror and recognize if I want to smile, then I have to smile first for the mirror to smile. Nothing external, no Hare Krishna, no praying to Jesus, nothing's going to make me smile other than myself. So I have to find a way to clean that mirror so that I'm smiling, so that the mirror reflects back to me. And then when I found a practice that was so strict in the way that it taught me that, and then gave me the tool and said, go and do it now, it's amazing. And it's overwhelming sometimes, but it is amazing. Especially if I've got something massive I need to achieve, I will hit this practice so hard, so hard, and I just feel so deeply in tune and protected. And it's the biggest honor to know that I have a teaching like this that I can use. And I've got many other things that I can use as well, you know. But final words, anyone want to say anything? Or Ryan, anything?
Only to sort of like tying all this in together. And I mentioned this in the chat just a moment ago, talking about the 3,000 realms, you know, Ichin and Sanzen and all of that, and your effect on the environment. As the Zen Buddhists say, wherever you go, there you are.
Wow, it's clean. Wherever you go, there you are. Whoa.
Okay, the environment can't save you from yourself, but you affect the environment just by being in it. And so your reflection of yourself is your reflection in the environment. So you've got a choice. And that's the brilliant and terrible thing. You always have a choice. It might not be a choice that you like making, but the fact is, you choose to reflect whether you choose your inner light or your inner darkness, whether you choose to just be a reflection of the world and don't make any conscious choices. Something happens to you, you give the same thing back. It's a choice, and there are no excuses. Like I said, wherever you go, there you are. You are unavoidable. And that's absolutely beautiful and brilliant, but it's also a big responsibility. It's not one to take on lightly. So, like I said, quite literally, the choice is yours. Even when you don't make it consciously, it's there.
Sexy. Thank you, guys. I love you all. Yeah. Next week, I'll send you all the message. Thank you.
Guys, hang on just for 1 sec.
Oh, go on.
Indigo, I put a thing in your DM in this. I don't know if you want to pass it on to everyone else or not. I made like a handout.
Oh, please. Okay, send it to me and I'll send it to everyone individually.
It's in the chat. I'll send it to you in this chat. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I can put it in the chat for everyone as well if that cuts out the middleman.
Yeah, do you want to do that quickly so people can save it?
Okay, yeah, sure. Give me 1 sec, guys. Sorry.
While you're doing that, let me chant for a minute while we're just going off together, yeah? Cool. Nam yo ho renge kyo, nam yo ho renge kyo, nam yo ho renge kyo. Nam yo ho renge kyo, 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 nam yo ho renge kyo. Renge kyo nam yo ho 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 renge kyo. Straight from South London, baby. Yeah, we doing it big Shakyamuni style. Dun 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 dun. Dirty bless.